figure in Bateson's ethnography, but also in Navin. So this is Malikinjin. So this photo of Malikinjin was also published in Navin. Malikinjin in Navin, the caption says, Malikinjin of Konganamun, whose personality is described in the chapter of preferred types. So this photo stands out as it's one of the only photo in which the man is named. And the importance of Malikinjin is also highlighted in the fact that he's one of the persons mentioned in the foreword of Navin. And Malikinjin was also a really important and recurring figure in Bateson's notebooks. And he was particularly important because of his importance as a sorcerer and also an important person in debates. And so for this, I'm just going to briefly talk about debates and how Malikinjin was important in that context. So just to give you an idea of what debates are in Konganamun and in the Iatmul region in general. So all the debates will take place in the houseboy, which are the ceremonial houses in the villages. Bateson describes them as places of ritual, as clubhouses where men meet and gossip. And in the description of those houses, he highlights the importance of debates. Any matter of general interest would be discussed, and men would use special stool with the representation of totemic ancestors during the discourse. So you've got this stage photo published in Navin, so that's in a different village, but that's to give you an idea of what the debates would look like. And so most of the debates would be punctuated by a series of names belonging to certain clans. And so through these names, people are also claiming ownership and rights to certain lands and resources. So by reciting names, the point is to reveal enough of them to make it clear that they know the myth, without revealing the entire myth or the series of names, because in that case, they would lose its secrecy and also its power. So Bateson understood this whole process and interest in debates, and Malikinjin was pretty important in that aspect, because he was one of the main sort of player in those debates. So in Navin, you've got this long quote in which you've got an important debate which took place in Wolombi, one of the houseboys in Konganamun. And you can see how Malikinjin was really strategic and clever to how to use names in that matter. And so going back to the field notes, I was able to have a bit more detail about this particular debate and able to know about the different clans that were opposing each other. And so the importance of Malikinjin was also important because the main argument of Navin was this whole analysis of the Navin performances, in which a maternal uncle would perform as a woman for his nephew. So the nephew would be called Lawa and the maternal uncle would be called Wao. And this whole analysis of the Navin was important because Malikinjin gave Bateson quite detailed elements about the Wao-Lawa relationships between the uncle and the nephew relationship. And Bateson was able to both interview Malikinjin and his Lawa And so going back again to that same picture, now I'm going to talk about this man standing at the back. So this is Mon Waishi. He's the cook of Bateson during his stay in Konganamu, so between 1932 and 1933. And so Mon Waishi is quite an interesting person because he was also from Mindimbit, so from the first village in which Bateson was staying. But so when Bateson came back in the region in 1932, he went back to Mindimbit, talked to the people he knew, so then employed Mon Waishi as his cook, and then they travelled together to Konganamu. And so that's the drawings of Mon Waishi's scarifications, and that's how I was able to identify him as Mon Waishi, because you've got especially those patterns, and here we've got a breast, and that's what you can see here, the same scarification patterns. And so this brings me to this last picture, because this is a portrait of a man, so by the Sepik River, but this time in Mindimbit. And so this portrait was probably made in 1929, 1930, and so the man is well ornamented and with like some face paints that you can see here with the lines. And so thanks to comparison with field notes that you can see on the right, I was able to identify this man as Kamwa Kilabi. So this name is less famous than the other ones because it was not well recorded in Naven. But this man is for me the most important man that Bateson encountered in the Sepik region. And the reason why is because that man decided to adopt Bateson as his nephew. So on the 24th of August 1929, so around 3 months after Bateson's arrival in Mindimbit, Bateson wrote that Kamwa Kilabi announced that he had decided to call him Memvembla one. And so by giving him a name, he acted as an uncle for him. And so for me, that's a really important act, because from this he was connecting Bateson as part of within his family circle, but also was putting him in a traditional system in which so between the uncle and the nephew, there's a transmission of knowledge that is done, but that knowledge has to be paid to the uncle. So in that way, that man was able to transmit his knowledge to Bateson following the traditional system, but then was also able to get some money and be paid for the knowledge he was sharing. And it's important because the name he gave to Bateson kept it for as long as he was staying in the Sepik River. So even when he was visiting other regions further south, later on with, for example, Mead and Fortune, he went to the Washkuk Mountains. He was still presenting himself to the people as Mevem Lemon, which is the name given by his uncle. And the other important point is that Kamwa Kilabi was also organizing an initiation ceremony in December 1932, and he invited Bateson to assist all the steps of the initiation ceremony, And this is particularly important because that's the only ceremony that Bateson was able to follow all the way through in his whole fieldwork experience in the region. And I think the fact that this was his uncle inviting him personally to assist the initiation was particularly important, and that's why he was able to photograph and record all the details of the initiation. And so to sort of give conclusion, I'm also showing this other picture of Kamwan Kelabi, which was taken a few months after Bateson left Minnimitz in August 1930. The photo was taken by William Robinson during his trip around the world between 1928 and 1931. So he was traveling around in his yacht, and the photos are now at the Peabody Museum in the States. So during his trip, he joined a colonial trip down to the Sepik River, and so I just discovered this photo recently. But so in all the photos he took, there's this photo, and this man here, I was able to identify him as Kamwan Kelabi, which sort of gives me a hope to tell a visual history of the Sepik region, acknowledging and also told from the perspective of local men and the help and influence they had in the history of the region. And just to conclude, in the same way I talked about Kamwan Kelabi, a history of Malikinjan can be traced. Malikinjan died in 1933, but his son, Avuran Mali, was later on photographed by Ernest Gilliard, an American who visited the Sepik region in 1953. And the other point I wanted to mention is that during my visit to Kanganamun last year, I was able to talk and show some pictures of some of the pictures I just showed you. And so I showed this picture of Malikinjan, and Malikinjan was immediately recognized by the men there. They knew him, they knew his story, and so now it's a photo of the houseboys, Wollongby, in the sense that's the same place in which the debate took place. And in there, I was showed where his fire post, and then his post and his bed would be. So the clan of Malikinjan is not represented anymore in the village nowadays, but people still know about the history of the clan and the history of the men, including Malikinjan. Yeah, that would be it for tonight. Thank you very much.